Fortnite Island is on the verge of collapse, while the secretive Imagined Order desperately tries to stabilize and fix the Zero Point. Galactus nearly destroyed every universe in existence, and while he failed, our salvation has come at a cost. The Zero Point is now exposed, and people are trying to escape the island. It's up to Agent Jones, who's been instructed by his boss to fix the Zero Point, hunt down those trying to escape, all while doing this below the radar to not alert the Seven. And with that, I take a deep breath and welcome you back to part 1 of the Fortnite Season 5 Storyline Explained. I'm sure you're probably confused right now, I think we all are, but we're gonna break this down for you to understand, like explaining what the Imagined Order is, what Agent Jonesy really wants, and how the Fortnite Island will be changing as soon as the next few weeks. And all of this wouldn't have been possible without my friends GameShed John and the Squatting Dog for helping me out with this video. But as a great storyteller, as always, we'll start from the beginning and cover the story so far. Last season, we had the Great Nexus War between Galactus and the Avengers over the Fortnite Island and control of the Zero Point. This thing right here, the Zero Point, is an orb of energy that holds together the fabric of time and space, and it was this that caused the black hole that brought us all here in the first place. After fighting Galactus, Tony Stark and the rest of the heroes went back to the realities, but the threat was far from over. As they left, the responsibility of the Zero Point was handed over to a new person, someone we've seen before, but not fully introduced yet. As the walls begin to crumble around him, we watch as John Jones wakes up in a panic, and this is where Season 4 ends and the current season begins. Right now, the Zero Point is exposed, and the island has a brand new organization in control. Let's introduce you to the Imagined Order. During the device event, we watched as Midas's attempt to defy the storm failed miserably. But during this time, we were teleported into a mysterious white office as an unknown figure spoke outside. Interestingly, we saw files for Midas, Lynx, and Jules on his desk. Then, as we teleported for the last time, we're introduced to John Jones, a man who looks just like Jonesy. We never heard from him or saw this office again until 3 seasons later. After Galactus was defeated, we return to John Jones in his office on the phone to his superior. People are running around in the background, and his boss tells him that the Zero Point is exposed and he has to go in. With Season 5, we have learned that John Jones works for a mysterious organization known as the Imagined Order. At first, we thought that he worked for Ego because of his mug in his office, but it's likely just a souvenir from his adventures across realities. John Jones is just one of many agents working at the Imagined Order, also known as IO, and with Galactus ripping the Zero Point out from underneath the agency, it has put IO into panic mode. John Jones is told that he has to prevent anyone from escaping the loop by stabilizing the Zero Point and resealing the bridge. And if that sentence made no sense, you're not alone. So let's dive into exactly what these things are. I promise, we'll explain. Let's begin with the loop. For a while now, we've been learning that the Fortnite Island...
Could it be a magic snowman come to life, a Christmas wish? But this is a little ad, and we'd rather a great value Christmas dish. We're gonna Christmas, you can believe in.
Is a special anomaly in time and space. For some unknown reason, there's a weird time loop on the island that's been happening for centuries and affects things like people's memory, their actions, thoughts, and more. Fortnite is a battle royale game. 100 people drop in, and by the end, only one remains. But you join another lobby, and you start right back at the beginning. Fortnite took this concept and made their whole story about it. 100 people jump in, one remains, and it just keeps on looping over and over again. We don't know why this loop occurs, but it does. The Imagined Order seems very adamant on keeping this loop intact, and will stop at nothing to make sure that nobody escapes or breaks the loop. Once again, we don't know why exactly they want to do this because it's keeping these innocent people trapped on the island. And as for the bridge, we actually see it in the Season 5 trailer. It's this huge portal that we see inside of the Imagined Order's headquarters, and how does it work? Well, think of the doors from like Monsters Inc. where they could put in a code for any universe or reality and it kind of just teleports them there. Very cool, but there's a problem with the bridge. With the Zero Point exposed, it's opened up the gateway, and this is really bad for the Imagined Order. Now, the bridge could be used by the people on the island to escape the loop, and it's only a matter of time before someone tries to leave. Because of this, John Jones has been instructed to recruit a team of the best bounty hunters. Their sole mission is to wreak havoc on the island while the IO reseals the bridge and stabilizes the Zero Point. And while that seems simple enough, that's just the backstory to all of this. The island is changing and morphing into its previous self. Unexplained things are happening everywhere, so we strapped on our detective's cap and are going to explain not only how the island will change in the near future, but also do our best to talk about why it's changing. Now that you're caught up, it's time we jump to the present and explain the story of Season 5. So as Season 5 progresses, the 0 point is becoming more unstable by the day. This, added with the island's inhabitants trying to stop and escape the loop, brings a lot of problems for the Imagined Order. And so to help maintain peace, they have sent IO guards around the island that'll attack you on sight. But they aren't the only NPCs around the map, because Season 5 has given us over 40 characters to talk to on the island, and they've given us huge storyline drops, especially a familiar face from Season 9, Bunker Jonesy. According to his new description, Bunker Jonesy is a snapshot of one of the very first times Jonesy visited the loop. Now, we haven't heard the term snapshot before, but we did actually hear John Jones talk about snapshots on the phone to his boss, where he says,
They did it! We're still here!
Yeah, but the 0 point is exposed. You have to go in.
Oh, come on. Last thing we need is another snapshot of me inside the loop.
So it seems that snapshots are clones of people who enter or leave the loop that are put onto the island for some unknown reason. There's many reasons why there could be clones, whether they are created by the 0 point, or our theory is that people like John Jones leave them behind because if you leave the loop, you must maintain balance by not disrupting it. So basically what I'm trying
Fancy playing Ladbrokes 5-a-side? An epic new way to bet. Play 5-a-side at ladbrokes.com.
say is that if you want to leave, somebody else has to stay. It's confusing, but that's our best explanation. That does kind of explain why we have so many Jonesy skins, because he's constantly coming and leaving the loop, but it also explains a lot more. For starters, we finally have an explanation for what happened to Midas, and it could explain one of the biggest unsolved mysteries in the history of Fortnite. After his failure to defy the storm and escape the loop himself during the device event, we saw him get eaten by a shark. But then he came back as Shadow Midas, Midas Rex, even a Midas fish? With Fortnite introducing us to snapshots, we now know that all these versions of Midas are not the same. Each version of Midas has been a different snapshot or clone of him. And we actually have evidence of this too, as one of the NPC voice lines says, "Keep it quiet, but I don't think the Midas that returned was the same Midas." In fact, this even brings us all the way back to the biggest mystery of Chapter 2, Oro. Ever since Midas and Oro were added into Fortnite, the community has been pretty split on whether these two were the same person or not. But with snapshots, it's extremely possible that Midas is a snapshot of Oro. What if Oro was the original Golden King and then a clone of him was created who ended up being Midas? It explains so much, but it also brings up a lot of questions. We don't know how snapshots are created or why, and it's hard to figure out what's included in the loop and what isn't. We got lucky though, there are a few voice lines from the new NPCs that give us a pretty good hint. Someone says the storm hasn't reset yet, there's still time to try and escape the loop, which confirms our theory from Season 2 that the storm restarting every game was a huge part of the island's loop. And that's exactly why Midas tried to push it back with the Doomsday device. But it turns out Bunker Jonesy spilled some beans on how to escape the loop. One of his voice lines says, "I still think those vans could be our way out of the loop. Who owns the vans? IO? Ghost? Maybe Bigfoot? They've got us trapped." He also mentions that he's not escaping this time, but will be soon. But even Lexa, one of the hunters that John Jones hired, is beginning to second guess herself. She mentions that the island is always changing and says the more of these quests we do, the more I think I'm onto something. Lexa also brings up the IO guards that appear around the island and says she doesn't trust them. But one of the most important things that Lexa talks about is the loop. She mentions that she's not 100% sure how it works, but that not everyone is actually inside the loop even when on the island. She says that some things loop, others don't, and this makes sense for people like Midas, who were able to build a device in the middle of the agency despite everyone else being stuck in a battle royale that wiped their memories. Lexa is just one of the many hunters in Season 5, and we're seeing more and more additions to their team by the day. Recently, a new rarity was added called the Gaming Legends series, and it started with Kratos getting brought to the island by John Jones. There are a ton of new hunters like Kratos that will be coming in the very near future, and we actually have a top secret list from Epic on who will come, and it reveals a lot, like Predator and Terminator coming very soon. But we'll get into that later in the video. For now, it's important we talk about the Fortnite Island. With the 0 point...
What a day it was, the day you found out you can do it. If walls could talk, what would they say?
Exposed, we're beginning to see some huge changes to the map, more specifically old locations from Chapter 1 coming back. What's really interesting is that these old POIs that have returned are actually in the exact same spot that we saw them on the old map. Spoiler, that's not a coincidence. The Der Burger restaurant is back where Greasy Grove was on the old map, with the Viking ship and Tomato Town also returning in the exact same location. Based on this pattern, as well as tapes left by Jon Jones, it's possible that we'll see Misty Meadows get some updates and merge with the old Lucky Landing location very soon. We know this because of Condor talking about cherry blossoms and the Jon Jones tape. I'm not gonna play it, but take my word for it. And so as Season 5 progresses, we're almost positive we will see more POIs from Chapter 1 make their way to the new map. But we don't know what seasons they're gonna pick and choose from. It's important to note that a lot of the locations we've gotten were from Chapter 1 Season 5, and this season is very similar to the theme of the original 5th season, which was literally called Worlds Collide. If you haven't been paying attention, this trend has occurred the entirety of Chapter 2. Season 4 was superhero themed for both Chapter 1 and 2, and this all could be intentional on Epic's part. We're pretty much doing Chapter 1 all over again with this updated island. What if it's not Epic just being lazy, but what if we're also in the loop? Crazy to think about. But now is the part you really need to pay attention. The glaring question you're all asking about is what's gonna happen in the future. A lot will happen in Season 5 as it progresses, from a crazy live event that could involve the Seven to more crossovers than we've ever gotten before. But before we talk about the live event, we need to cover every new bounty hunter that will be joining us on the Season 5 island, and here's how we know what's coming. Epic Games sent out Jon Jones' backpack to a handful of creators, and it included a secret letter along with a ton of different items. Each of these items represent a skin that's currently in-game or about to come to the game, and I've shown those on screen now, but the names that aren't crossed out are hinting at bounty hunters we'll see soon. Let's break it down. Firstly, we have sunglasses, which we think are hinting at the Terminator, then a necklace with a tooth that could possibly be a nod to Predator, or the Predator hint could be the mud mask. There's a very high chance that Predator is actually coming to Fortnite, not just because of this, but there have been a lot of teases from Epic. Stealthy Stronghold, the new POI, is filled with nods to the Predator movie, from the crashed helicopter to the car generator. You could even hear the Predator growl in one of Jon Jones' tapes. Next up on the items is a back scratcher that has a golden hand on it, and the most likely option here is the female Midas skin that we could see in a Battle Pass loading screen. We have face paint for Kratos, and red and blue candy, which either could obviously be the Matrix with the red and blue pill reference, or a red versus blue hint to Halo, as we know Master Chief will also be coming. There's way more items on here that no one has really figured out yet, so if you have any ideas, pause the video right now to see all the items and then leave your theories in the comment section. We need your help to figure this out. Season 5 is going to continue onward as the 0 point gets less and less stable. We'll be seeing more hunters come to the island over time, and will all eventually lead to a live event at the end of the season. Our theory is that the live event is most likely going to be someone attempting to escape the loop either through the bridge or through Bunker Jonesy's plan of using the reboot vans. Either way, Jon Jones has told the hunters to cause as much chaos as possible, and if the 0 point gets worse and worse, it's gonna attract some unwanted attention. The Imagined Order are an organization who simply want to keep the loop and the 0 point intact, and while they have their methods, the Seven have their own way of looking at things too. Both IO and the Seven want to keep the 0 point stable, but they have different ways of doing so, which is why Jon Jones' boss doesn't want to alert them. Will Agent Jonesy be able to stabilize the 0 point and restore order to the Fortnite island? Will the island residents figure out how to escape the loop and cause absolute chaos? After Lucky Landing merges with Misty Meadow, what other locations can we expect to merge in the future? Will Top 5 Gaming ever get his own Fortnite skin? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. Wait, I meant T5G. Sorry, it rhymed, but I don't know. Watch more of our videos or something. Okay, bye.